Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marketing Matters for Findability. My name is Denise Millet, and I'm your host today. In today's episode, we're talking about the importance of listening for success with creating content. And so I would like to start with talking about a person that I love, author, actor, performer, just amazing human being, Alan Alda. He says that listening is being able to be changed by the other person. And I think that's one of our jobs as entrepreneurs is to listen, but also to share our expertise in helping other people experience change as a result of it. So listening, why does it matter, right? Well, listening, by taking advantage of the different styles of listening, we can tailor our content to get the maximum impact. And so there are 5 types of listening that I want to talk about today. The first one is pseudo listening, and that's pretending to listen without paying attention to what the person's saying. We've all been with someone like that where they're just going, and they're looking at you and they're thinking about what they want to say next more than they're listening to what you have to say. The other type of listening is appreciative. So someone's listening for the sake of enjoyment, to music or to a soundtrack from something or a replay of something that's just for pure enjoyment. And then there's empathetic. Empathetic is people-oriented type of listening, where the focus is placed on understanding the speaker and his or her point of view. So you're listening as a friend would, or as an expert might, to help someone in some way by understanding them and taking on their point of view. Then there's comprehensive, which is content-oriented type of listening, where the listener focuses on making sense of the message and trying to take in all the information and process it and understand it at a very deep level. And then there's critical. Critical occurs when one listens for the sake of analyzing, for critiquing or making judgment about the speaker or the message, where they're not listening so much from a positive place, that they're looking to pick it apart or analyze it or break it down. And so these 5 types of listening bring us to a place where, okay, who do we want to attract with the content we create? What type of listener do we want listening to our message and reading it or taking it in, right? So we would like empathetic people that we want to attract with our content. So we want the people-oriented type of listening, where they're understanding the speaker and his or her point of view, and they're trying to really deeply understand it. And then we want the comprehensive listeners who are, they're focusing on making sense of the message and taking in the purpose and the meaning of everything that's out there. So they're listening on a very deep level. Those are the 2 types of listeners that we want to attract with our content. And I've got to tell you that there is no better way to attract people in that fashion by creating content through a podcast. A podcast is a natural way to capture empathetic and comprehensive listeners. We've been told that podcast audiences are listening intently. Over 80% of them listen to all or most of a podcast episode they start. We have a split-second scrolling going on in our lives through social media and through even search engines and the news, and we just scroll. Podcast listeners, 80% are staying for the whole episode. And that means they're intent on the subject matter and on the presenter and on, the expertise for whatever that combination is. We can't find a better audience than that out there, unless it's like in a circle of friends or your personal contacts, your personal client list. There is no better audience to try to engage than a podcast audience. So with that in mind, what is it we want to do? if we want to have a podcast, if we want to create content to attract empathetic and comprehensive listeners, and we know podcasts do that, what works for us? Is it a video series that'll go onto YouTube, but it's also the audio portion will be released on podcast platforms? What will you talk about? How will you get people to know that you're doing it? What kind of content is going to speak to them? Because we have these great listeners, but we still have to create the content that draws them in and makes them want to listen, right? So it's not just the fact that we create something that can be listened to, we have to actually create good content. And in essence, that is making findable podcast episodes on search. Because we're going to create this content just like we would a blog post or something that is visual media or reading based. If we're going to do something that's audio that people can listen to because we want to attract those listeners, then we have to make it findable so it's included in search engines, because we have found that over 30% of new podcast listeners search the internet to find new shows. 19% ask friends and family, 17% use social media, and the rest are all single digits, host recommendations, suggestions from advertisements, and audio programs. So 30%, that's a huge number, are going to Google. And that means we have to find out how to get those episodes cataloged in Google. And we spoke about this a little bit in the last episode, but I want to hit it again today because I think that we have to understand what keywords are. Keywords are the connectors to our audience from our content, whether it's written, video, or audio. And the things that we want to do is connect with our audience. The words they're going to use in search, we're going to have those words in our content. Yes, exactly. And yes, with synonyms and supporting content that talks about that topic. So it's not just the essence of using the words. You have to use the words. That's called on page, on the checklist. You have to use the words, but you have to support it with excellent content. So how do you do that? Well, you create episodes that answer a specific question. How to, why is, how do I, where do I go, or what's the purpose of? That is an actual question that someone might type into search or speak into a voice assistant. So if you have an episode with that title in it, and it has to have something specific, then you're a possibility as a solution if the content in the episode supports that question the best, right? So that's one way. Another way is speak to their needs. What is it that they're looking for that you provide? What is the thing that they're out there looking for, that they're coming to search for, that make the connection? And what is their language they're using to get there, right? And then the third thing is you want to demonstrate your understanding of their business. And the reason we do that is we want them to know that we are knowledgeable and we are a resource for them. So we might have a podcast episode that talks all about a specific topic, like how to write a white paper, or no, that's not good for a podcast episode. How to do a great interview. So we might have a podcast episode, how to do a great interview. And the title of it might be 5 Secrets to a Top-Notch Interview, or 5 Steps to a Great Interview, right? The content then is going to lay out the list of steps that people have to go to create a great interview, and that's going to have supporting information. It's going to have examples. It's going to have connections to other sites that have supporting information. It's going to be a resource. We're giving our expertise away to people searching for a solution so that they can get to know us and get to know what we do, right? So those are some ways that you're connecting to your audience's needs, so you're presented to them when they search. And a podcast, if you want a comprehensive listener, if you want someone who becomes empathetic to your style and your message and what you're speaking about, then you have to make those connections with them so that you speak their language and they understand your language. Okay. Now, the other thing is you want to repurpose whatever your podcast is. If you create it in video and you take the audio for a podcast and to have the video on YouTube, then you could have the transcript become a blog post. The blog post can become a short share on social media or LinkedIn. You could include a transcript of the video or the audio for the podcast on the webpage for the episode that you're going to create on your website. So creating the podcast episode, however you do it, with video or without, then becomes a circular share of all different types of this media. But we're attracting those comprehensive listeners. They're going to listen, but then we're also sharing it to the other types of modalities that people need for content, because we want to attract those people too. So you don't want to just create something in a silo that's only driven for people who are comprehensive listeners. We want them. They're wonderful. But we also know that there's other audiences out there that fit for us that we're trying to attract as well. So if we use the same topic, then we're repurposing content, and that's a great thing. So I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about podcasts, how important they can be for your success in content and in search marketing. And the reason I do this is I want you to be findable, because if they can't find you, they can't do business with you. Thank you so much. And I want to share with you something very exciting that's happening Wednesday this week, May 17th. I am having an entrepreneur's game night, which is, we're doing a virtual scavenger hunt for keywords online. We're going to search for trivia. We're going to figure out how to find the best keywords. You're going to walk away with some great ideas to apply to your business, and we're going to have fun. We're going to have prizes. It's going to be great. Visit denisemillet.com/game night, and you can find out more about it and sign up and save your seat, because it's going to be a really great time. I'm trying to do this to lighten the load for entrepreneurs. We work so much, but I also know that keywords can be very confusing. So we're going to have prizes, and they dubbed me the findability queen. So I will be there, and I will help you all, and I hope we're going to have fun doing it too. So thank you so much. Have a great day.